So, you're getting ready to sell your house. You hire a real estate agent, you shake hands, you talk about the price, and then you sign a big stack of papers. But have you ever stopped to think about what you actually agreed to? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on that super important document, the contract that can literally make or break your entire home sale.
I mean, think about it. You're about to put your biggest financial asset in someone else's hands. What promises are they legally making to you, and what are you promising them in return? You know, understanding this relationship is probably the single best tool you have for a smooth, successful sale. So let's break down what your signature really means.
All right, first things first. Let's get one thing straight. Hiring a real estate agent isn't like asking a buddy for a favor. You are formally, legally employing them. And that employment is all built on a contract. So let's meet the key players in this little drama and get the terms straight.
You've probably heard the phrase listing your house about 1,000,000 times, but it's so much more than just getting your home up on the internet. In the eyes of the law, the listing is the employment contract. It's the official document that gives a broker the green light to go to work for you, and it's the foundation for everything else that's about to happen.
So in this legal play, you're the main character. You're called the principal. That's the fancy term for the person who holds the power, who does the hiring, and who gives the agent the authority to act. In other words, that's you. You're the boss.
And, you know, every boss needs an expert to get the job done. That's your agent. This is the professional you hire to represent your interests, to use their know-how to navigate the market and negotiate with everybody else involved.
And finally, there's the third party. 99% of the time, this is going to be the buyer, the person on the other side of the table. So the stage is set. You've got you, your agent, and the buyer. But how exactly does your agent promise to act for you?
Okay, this is where the relationship gets really serious. This isn't just some casual business deal. It's built on a major legal and ethical promise called a fiduciary duty. And this, without a doubt, is your agent's most important promise to you. So, what in the world is a fiduciary? Well, think of it as the absolute highest standard of care in business. It's someone who is legally and ethically required to put your interests ahead of their own. It turns a simple service into a relationship of serious trust and confidence. Your agent is your fiduciary. So what does this promise actually look like? It really boils down to 3 huge, non-negotiable rules. First, full disclosure. They have to tell you everything that matters, no secrets. Second, client first. Your interests always come before their commission check or anyone else's needs. And third, no self-dealing. They can't secretly try to profit from your property on the side. It's all about total transparency and absolute loyalty to you. Now, your agent's loyalty is supposed to be 100% yours, but what if they're also working with the buyer? This is where things can get a little tricky. And it's why you absolutely have to understand the difference between single and dual agency. It really just comes down to this. Is your agent your dedicated coach, or are they a neutral referee? In a single agency, they are your coach. They only represent you, and their loyalty is completely undivided. But in a dual agency, one agent or brokerage represents both you and the buyer. Suddenly, the game totally changes, and your agent has to become that neutral referee.
And that's the real challenge of dual agency. The agent is kind of stuck in the middle, right? They're trying to serve 2 different clients with opposite goals. To avoid a huge conflict of interest, they have to stay neutral. And because it's such an unusual situation, both you and the buyer have to agree to it in writing.
Okay, so we know who's on the team. We know the rules of loyalty. Now let's look at the actual playbook, the listing contract itself. There are a few different types, and they spell out exactly how your agent can market your property and, most importantly, how they get paid.
You'll probably run into one of these 3. An open listing is kind of a free-for-all. You can hire a bunch of brokers, and only the one who actually brings the buyer gets paid. Then there's exclusive agency. With this one, you hire one broker, but if you find the buyer on your own, you don't owe them a commission. But by far the most common is the exclusive right to sell. With this contract, if your house sells during the agreement period, your broker gets their commission. It doesn't matter who finds the buyer, even if it's you.
Okay,
Listen closely, because this might be the single most misunderstood part of the whole agent commission thing. Technically speaking, your agent has earned their fee the moment they bring you a buyer who is ready, willing, and able to meet your price and terms, even if that deal later falls apart before closing. And that right there is exactly why you have to read the fine print. All right, you've picked your agent, you've agreed on the type of contract. Now comes the moment of truth, the paperwork. And don't just expect one piece of paper. You're going to be handed what's called a listing bundle, a whole package of forms that makes everything official. This bundle is really designed to make sure everybody's on the same page. It's going to have the agency disclosure, making it crystal clear who the agent works for. You'll sign the main listing agreement, which is the actual contract. And you'll also get important advisories about things like your seller disclosures and how to avoid wire fraud. It's all there to keep you informed and protected.
And all of this paperwork leads us to one final golden rule. A verbal agreement just doesn't cut it. In states like California and many others, a real estate employment contract must be in writing to be legally enforceable. That signature protects both you and your agent. It's that simple.
So there you have it. That's the framework. It's a partnership built on a written contract with clearly defined roles and a deep, profound duty for your agent to always put you first. So now that you actually know the rules of the game, the real question is, are you ready to choose your player?